They want proper formal office jobs with certificates for their children. If you're saying I'm a content creator, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a Facebook marketer, I'm a LinkedIn, hey, they're not going to understand you like,
No.
is that a real job that you can earn money?
Welcome to Young and Proud Educators, KKG, and Rebecca Native.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Thank you guys for actually taking the opportunity and giving up your time to come onto the show. We really do appreciate that. And can you just introduce yourselves, please?
You want to start with me?
Yes, please. Okay.
Okay, so I'm Amanda Edwin. I actually live in Canada. So I'm in North America. I am originally from the Caribbean, the island of Trinidad and Tobago. And I've been an educator now for over 30 years. Right now, I do teach adults. I'm into adult education over the last few years. And as Debbie knows, and because we've chatted before, education is my passion. So being here and being able to discuss education is nothing I would have said no to. I always say yes when it comes to talking about education. So thank you, Debbie, for having me. And I'm interested to hear what we're going to be talking about. I know what we're talking about, what's going to come out of the discussion. The first half of the show was very enlightening for me, learning more about the 100s. So that has given me quite a few ideas that I think I want to take back, into what I do every day. So thank you. And I look forward to, chatting with the rest of you throughout the next hour.
Thank you. Okay. Can you guys introduce yourselves next?
I'm Carlisha. I've worked in education for about 10 years. I know I don't look like I have enough years for that, but for about 10 years, I've worked with a broad spectrum from special needs all the way up to sixth form. My speciality is dealing with students that would be classes, students with challenging behaviour. As Amanda said, education and young people are definitely a passion of mine, especially melanated young people, because I feel like education is sort of swept aside in our community. So I think pushing that so that they see how important it is really, really, really one of my passions. So yeah, I was really touched by some of how passionate they were with working with young people, making sure that they're on a track to education. Because I always say to my young people, yes, you can get to where you want, but you want to work harder. You want to work smarter, not harder. So it's smarter to go and try and get that degree. And so you've got that behind you. So it was a lovely chat.
Okay, thank you.
Hey everybody, I was excited about Vanessa's story when she shared with us that she joined when she was actually 8 years, and now she's still part of this amazing organization. Wow. Okay, let me go back and introduce myself. It's amazing. It's amazing what the organization is doing, like confidence and all that everything that they're doing. It's amazing. Okay, introducing myself, guys. I am Khomotso Lebaking, and I'm from South Africa. By the moment, I'm living and working in Ghana. I'm also a teacher, and I've been teaching now for 10 years. And in these 10 years, I've been complaining for 10 years. Guys, that's the longest time of complaining. That, teachers are not treated well, teachers are not celebrated, teachers are not acknowledged for what they do. 10 years of complaining. So last year, I decided to do something about it and stop complaining. I decided to start an organization where I celebrate teachers. and we started last year in September, and it's going very well. We celebrate teachers for entire month, and it's good to see bringing smiles into teachers' faces and celebrate their work that they're doing. Because teachers are most important people in our communities, in our societies, and they continue building. So it's what I do, what I'm passionate about, celebrating other people's work, which are teachers. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's interesting because one of the common thread we all seems to share is the passion we have for education and for young people. And in order for us to get the most and the best out of young people, we need to be passionate because they need to see that passion from us. So it really is interesting. Right. As educators, I do feel that there's sometimes we need to challenge tradition, because we also need to realize that education is not only in the classroom, education is constantly. So those are the things we really need to start looking at, that we need to remind the young people that because they haven't made it in terms of academically go through the traditional route, that doesn't mean that there are no hope, nor does it mean that they cannot excel or be the best they can be. So that's some of the things we're going to be talking about, challenging the status quo and challenging, the traditional education. The first question is in terms of how do we see education, right? Sorry, guys. Well, to what extent to what, can you guys see the question? Or it's just me seeing it?
No, we can see the question.
We can see the question.
Okay.
We can see the question.
Okay. Yeah, you did your bad. To what extent are you a help or hindrance to your child career aspiration? So when we're talking about parents and when we're talking to parents, how do you think that parents can be a help or hindrance to the children? And I'm taking that even further into the education sector. How do you think educators could also be a hindrance or an aspiration for children? We know as being in the education sector.
I find that, unfortunately, this is from pastoral, so I'm sorry, teachers, but as a pastoral lead, I find that there's a lot of unconscious bias when it comes to some of our children, and they get stigmatized as soon as they walk into a classroom. So you'll get your rowdy boys, they'll walk in and automatically they're pushed towards sports because that seems to let out all that energy, and that's where they're pushed towards. But really, we should try to tamper that energy for them and say, okay, what do you have a passion for, rather than saying, okay, I see you come into the classroom, you look like a sports guy, let's push you into sports, rather than saying, okay, well, STEM's a really good avenue to go down. And it also is one of those things that can motivate you to calm yourself down, because you need to actively think in terms of those subjects. So I do think that unintentional bias is definitely a hindrance when it comes to child's career aspirations, because it comes from us first. Let's be real, when they come into school, they don't automatically have a idea of what they want. I was like, at 7 I wanted to be a teacher, but most children will come into school and we need to lead them to where they need to go. We need to give them a broad spectrum of ideas of what they can achieve and say, okay, this is what you can do, and then try filter it, rather than giving them our bias and say, oh, I think you'd be really good at sports. So that's in their head. We need to give them more of a broad spectrum of what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kalisha. That's interesting.
Yeah. In addition to, sorry, can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. In addition to, I think Kanisha? Yes. In addition to Kanisha, she touched on a very important point. She spoke about school, that we teachers, we can sometimes be biased. But just to move a step back and look at the school system on its own, I think it's a massive hindrance to children's career aspirations. Why am I saying that? Because once we send our child or our children to school, the first thing that's going to be happening to them is there's a benchmark test. There's a test, entrance test. And what's said about that test is whatever mark that you're going to get from that test, it's going to be on your forehead and you'll be treated exactly as that number. You will be grouped to say, this child is weak, this child is average, and this child is doing extremely very well. Wherever you go in the school environment, you'll be treated exactly like that by the number. They're going to push you if they saw that you are weak, they're going to put you into support. They say it's a good thing, but personally, from where I'm standing, it can mean quite a lot of things. Why am I saying that? Because the other group of children will see you go into support, either in the morning or lunch or break, whenever. And that's a stigma that he or she is struggling. Whilst the other group of people who've got better numbers on the forehead, they're going to extra curricular. So already that places children into positions. Therefore, it will influence their future career choices. Those who got beautiful numbers on their foreheads, they'll be going for this big and fancy careers. Then others will then go for those careers that are at the bottom, like for instance, teaching. So the entire system is designed to create groups, and same groups exist in our larger communities. So school just replicate or reflects what's happening in our communities, that we are in groups. That's why we end up seeing in our actual bigger communities, the very poor people, the middle class, and the very rich people. It doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from our schools. Yeah. I was just touching on the broader aspect of this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump in. I want to agree with him wholeheartedly on that, because I've seen it in the Caribbean, particularly, where the school system is set up in such a way that you're right, they do have to write an entrance exam to go to high school, and they are placed based on their performance, which can be, for children, I remember writing the exam myself when I was, 10 years old. Or the 10-year-old, what do you know? And why are you expected to sit and write a 3-hour exam that determines your future at that point, And so it's not fair. The entire exam system, the stigma it places on children when they have to go to a prestige school as opposed to a non-prestige school. Here I can compare both areas. I can compare the Caribbean and I can compare Canada, right, where I am right now. So Canada does not have that particular kind of system. The children they are zoned according to their schools. However, the systemic racism does exist within the school when it comes to the Black children or colored children or BIPOC children, as you want to call them. And what happens in there. So you're right, there are barriers for that. And I want to go to the home a little bit, because I always go back to the home. Because home is where education starts, okay? Yeah. And how parents view education and for their children. So I know the question as well would be in terms of, do we as do the parents hinder, help the aspirations of the children's careers? And with respect to the Black parents, every parent wants their children to be the best, to have the best career, to be doctors, that's every parent's dream, Is it possible for everyone? No. So again, it comes back, Debbie, to, and it's Kanisha. Kanisha is your name? Yes? And giving them the opportunities to know that there are different things that they can do. And I think parents need to be a part of that and understand that as well. You know, what else can my child do? And I'll give you a personal experience with that. I'm a mother. I have 3 grown children now. But my old children, like one of them, he went to college, here in college, when he was at university. And I helped him select the courses because, again, parents love to intervene. And parents love to have their own ideas on what they think the children should be doing. And he did, you know, he chose, he got into the courses, everything. And after 1 year, decided, oh, that's not what I want to do. I blew my top, of course. I was upset because I'm thinking, are you mad? You know, what is wrong with you? Right? This is a career you're potentially throwing away. But he had other ideas. And from that experience, I mean, I learned as a parent, I can't always control what I want my children to do, what their careers are going to be. We do have to take into consideration what they want to do, what their skills are, what their abilities are, where their passion lies. You know, our passion is education. We began teaching. Their passion might be something completely different to what we are thinking for them. So a lot of it comes from the home and the whole concept of how we view education as parents, or even Black parents, what they want, because they know what the experiences might have been, what they don't want for their children, and how they want them to grow, you know, economically. So yeah, it's a whole lot of things involved, and the school system does have a part to play in how we portray education for colored children in any system, you know, across the world.
If I point it out as a help, I think as Black educators, because we've usually had experience doing everything. So I've done care, I've worked in research, I've done everything. It gives us the knowledge and power to say, okay, well, I started in a place that probably wasn't at the top, and I've been able to work my way up. Like I started as a TA, and I ended up, I took every free course they threw at me to make sure that I could build my knowledge. So I think as Black educators, because the fight is slightly harder. We knew it's slightly harder to get what we want, because as we walk into the room, the first thing they see is Black, and then everything we present after that is what we present. So we know that it's not the easiest to present well, because there's been years and years of stigma that we've had to break down. So on top of that, we have that knowledge to say, okay, you don't have to reach for doctor, lawyer, solicitor. We don't have to reach for that. But there are avenues where you can make just as much money and not have to struggle to try and get there and feel like you failed. And I think that as educators, that's how we help our children aspire to different, because we've experienced so many different things in getting to where we are and getting to the successes that we're in.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I really totally agree with that.
Maybe can I add, please?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Like adding to what the guys have said about parents, my experience in teaching for 10 years, what I saw was most parents wanted to live their dreams via their children.
Yeah.
So as a father, I wanted to be a doctor or engineer, and I couldn't. But I love it so much that every penny that I have, I put it together to force my children to be doctors, to be engineers. Because I really want to have at least one member of the family as a doctor, as an engineer. So we parents, we live in our dreams for our children.
Yeah.
And why do we do that? Because we don't spend most of our time with our children. And I fully understand, because we as Black parents, we have to work 3 times more to just make ends meet, and 10 times more to give our children what they need for the future.
Yeah.
Therefore, we don't have time to spend with them. We're just pushing what we know, what we believe, what we know is the best onto our children.
Yeah.
And the other thing, coming back to school and children and homes, just merging those two, you then have something that's called career choice. Personally, I don't like it. Like it's understatement. I hate it. Sorry, guys.
Let me just pause a second. Let me just introduce Josephine. Hello, Josephine.
Okay,
Welcome to the show. Can you please introduce yourself? We are looking at to what extent are you a help or a hindrance to your child's aspiration? Looking at it from a parent perspective and an educator perspective. So if you introduce yourself, Josephine, and then, probably just get into it.
I want to firstly say good evening and sorry that I've come in late. I do sincerely apologize for that. And so yeah, my name's Josephine. And what was the other question? Sorry, Debbie.
Can you see the question on your screen? To what extent are you a help or a hindrance to your child's career aspiration as an educator and as a parent?
To what extent? I don't know.
Okay, think about it while Kumoso finishes what he was saying.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
I was saying, guys, there's something in secondary school, in high school, it's called career choice. I look at it and I'm like, I don't like it. I hate it. Because they then start doing that when children are 16, before 16, about 13. They start to drill children to think small, not big, not wide enough, but small. That no one just think along engineering, just think along health, not think the possibilities around us. Okay. And then when children are 16, 15, then they have to make a choice. Where do they want to go? I want to be in the health sciences. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. The child is 16, 16. It's a baby. He has no idea of what they're putting themselves into. That's when we start seeing children after graduations, when they 24, there's a whole lot of health issues, mental health issues, because they don't like what they're doing. But my question is, why do we then expect the 16-year-old to make that kind of heavy decision, while the 40-year-olds don't know what they're doing? That's why they say life begins at 40. Because now they're starting to wake up. I don't want to speak forever. Okay, I'm going to step back.
Yes, I see that. I see that. Josephine, thank you very much for that. It actually made me think in terms of that.
Are you asking me a question?
Yes, I was asking you, how do you think... Mike, put the question back on the screen, please. I can't see it.
Thank you.
Right. To what extent are you a help or a hindrance to your children, either as an educator or as a parent, or both? Because it's interesting. Yeah.
I was just listening to the gentleman who was speaking. I'm a mum who's very involved in my child's education, in terms of I'm someone, I like my child to also make choices. And when you say that, how do children know what their choices are at such young age? That's the society that we live in, and I even from right before, I've got a 13-year-old and I've got a 6-year-old. Even from right, when my eldest was in primary school, I've been throwing hints about what would you like to be. going to different places, having different family members and different, in different, careers, just throwing it in there. What would you like to do? Like just wanted to get a feel of, some children would always say, oh, I want to be a doctor. Some children would say, oh, I want to be a nurse. You know what I mean? Some children have that, that kind of, a feel of what it is that they like doing, probably based on, on what they watch, because that's the society that we live in. So I have been very much trying to guide my my eldest, most especially now, on the kind of things that she wants to do. So that's how so I don't know whether that's an hindrance or that's or that's a help, but that's what I've been doing, because I know the society that we live in. She's currently in year 8, and she'll be choosing her subjects very soon. And already, because I've been talking about it, all the time, because we've been researching on different career paths, on how to get onto different things and the kind of things that we want to do. And you know what I mean? And because the subjects that she chooses now, some might say it's not a big deal, but I want her to get the best experience that she can, that she can get from now to whatever she is that she wants to do. And if she decides that, no, it's not for me, then she also has that choice. I like to give choices. I'm always, I remember when she was going to get into secondary school, I didn't allow her to just choose any random schools. I chose the schools that I wanted her to go to. I gave her all the 6 choices that I wanted her to go to. Then I asked her, so this is where her choice was now in there. I asked her, you put the numbers how you want to, you put the numbers in all these schools, your best one and your least best one. So she had a choice in that. But I was the mom who was looking at what school would be good for her. We were going around checking out schools, but then she was the one who chose the schools that she actually wanted to go to, and I had to respect it. Do you know what I mean? But I knew that all the schools that I chose were okay. So I wouldn't have minded any of the schools that she'd chosen anyway. But maybe I had a favorite, yes, but she didn't choose my favorite, which was okay, and I respected it. So going back to your question, I don't know yet whether I'm a hindrance or whether I'm an inspiration to her, because she's still quite young. We haven't chosen our subjects yet. We're still looking around. In terms of as an educator, my students, I'm someone who, because I teach level 3, first years, and I teach year 2s as well, and I teach your level 1 and your level 2s. I'm someone who's always making sure that I always speak about, I always like to get people thinking about what it is they want to do at the end of what it is that they want to do. So I might be someone who's narrowing their choices, I don't know, because I just feel like the society that we live in, that's what, you can't go around. It's like, I'll give you this analogy. Have you ever walked out of your house not knowing where you're going, where you're going? You need to open your door and have it, because the day that I walk out of my house and I don't have a clue where I'm going to, I will be going to every Dick and Harry. I will be going to places that I'm not supposed to be going. So you need to have a vision. I'm of this view. You need to have a vision of where it is that you're going. You need to have a, and sometimes, but just my thing is, don't be rigid. If things need to change, because I can get out there and I can get a phone call to say, but at least before I left my house, I had a plan. That's the most important thing. Have a plan. Before you leave your house, have a plan to say that, okay, this is where I'm going to. But you might get a phone call with a better opportunity from the one you're going to. So that's now your choice to not make the decision. Oh, do I want to carry on going to the place that I've decided? Or actually, this thing that my friend just called me up about sounds better. Maybe I should go meet up my friend instead. I'm just using that as an analogy of how I see life. You need to have a plan. I'm always someone, just have a plan, because you can't go around without a plan. that might make me a small-minded person. I don't know, but that's just how I see it. Maybe it's because I like things to be in order. I like orderliness. I like things to just follow, but not to say that I'm not able to. Not to say that I'm not able to, to tweak things when I need to. So I don't know. Based on your question, I can't answer that as as a mum just yet because my child is still very young, and I don't know the effect of what I'm doing just yet. I don't know how that's going to plan out. I'm just doing things with instincts. Do you know what I mean? And also as an educator, I'm just doing things with what I feel is right. In having those children who come across me having their best interest at heart. So I'm someone who just does what I think is right. What's around me, and looking for opportunities around me to give it to them whenever I can. So I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. What personal success? What does personal success look like? What does personal success look like? It looks like whatever you want it to look like. You might be someone who like 5 cars. That's your success. Go ahead. You might be someone who actually don't want a car because you're very eco-friendly. You would rather just have a run of bicycles instead rather than having cars. So personal success is whatever it is. I might like orderliness, but I'm just about, I'll go with your flow. I go with whatever it is, but I just always feel like you be the person driving yourself, and I will help you in however it is. I can help you both as a parent and also an educator. So personal success is wherever it is, whatever you want it to look like.
Thank you very much, Josephine. Okay, so that question, to any one of you want to answer it. Kalisha, you want to go?
To whom? Who?
Yeah, what does personal success look like to you, to your student, to whoever?
Okay, so to me, success is when you can come to me and you're proud of what you've done. To me, for them, it's whatever makes them feel like they've done in life what they set out to accomplish. They've done in life that makes them proud of who and what they are doing in their life. So personal success could be I'm a binman, or personal success can be I'm a lawyer. There's no scale for it. It's personal to them, hence personal success is how they feel about what they've accomplished in life. So for me, that's what personal success looks like, that they feel proud of what they put out into society, what energy they've put out into society that reflects as them as a human being. So I don't think there's a scale of it. It's more of a feeling individually within your student.
Thank you. Any one of you? The other two, anybody?
Oh, I can talk now. That's really good. I love your explanation on that. In terms of that personal success, of course, it's going to be different to everyone. For me, I see it as achieving the goals I've set for myself, whether they're small goals or big goals, over the years, and being comfortable at the end of the day with who I am. And you're right, with what I've accomplished, what I've put out there, what I've contributed to society, that makes me comfortable. I can go to bed at night knowing I have no regrets. I am happy with who I am, what I'm doing and achieving. And if I can have other people achieve, then my goal is accomplished. So yeah, it's all. And that's what I try to teach my kids. And even the adults that I teach now, they're all going to different jobs right now. They're reschooling, which is difficult for an adult at 40, 50 years old, going back to school and learning something completely different. When I talk to them daily, is mainly to motivate them and say, listen, and empower them that you are going into a next step, but it is not the end of the world, and you will achieve your personal success then by moving forward, by learning. You're just learning every day. That's something new to you. That's success in itself. Learning something new every day. So it's going to be different for everyone. But yeah, it doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be that you're the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay, also, Debbie, please allow me. I'm gonna run back to the previous question, then run.
That's fine. No problem. No problem.
Okay, with the previous question, I think, guys, COVID taught us a lot as parents, as teachers, as communities, and what we saw happening, I think it was enlightening and was start of the greater things. Why I'm saying this, because we saw quite a lot of parents taking their children out of school, completely out of school. Why? Because then they realized school is a system that was designed to feed the bigger system. Then they took them out. What did they do with their children? They homeschooled their children. Meaning what? Meaning that they educated their children. They did not school their children. Because school is just schooling, a routine. Education is to the soul. Is to the awareness. Who are you? And as communities, as parents, as teachers, we need to put these two guys into a scale and see which one's going to be heavy and which one's going to be lighter. Education and school should be on scale. I know most of the time they are confused. People think school is education, education is school. They are two completely different people that stand on their own. So if we want to educate our children to the extent that they are aware of themselves, what they want, the future aspirations, then we need to start thinking about education. Okay, I'm going to jump to this one then, and it links to this one. Since we send our children to school, then we're going to start speaking about personal success. When we speak about personal success, it will then put material things along the tag, along the name success. I think it's extremely not so right. But because we're from school, and school exists in a community, there's no way you can go to school and not compare yourself with people that you live with in the society. There's no way. As Joss has said, there's no way. So success for me personally, and I'm teaching that to my 5-year-old daughter and my 8-year-old son, which is different. And they're in school, is that personal success is you are happy and you're doing what you want. That's it. You're happy, you do what you love. That's it.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only non-parent in this discussion. So I think what's really important, as I'd say the child, from the child's aspect, is never to put failure as a tag to personal success. There's no failure when it comes to making your own goals for yourself. There's always, okay, we can maybe make new avenues, new routes, new journeys, but there's never failure tagged along with personal success. And I think that's really important.
Good question, Debbie. Someone in the chat, someone is asking, what will occur if you are not able to offer advice or intervene? So I'm guessing, in terms of as a parent, if you are not in that position to give your children the advice that they need in terms of achieving personal success or what that looks like, what happens then? Who do they then turn to? Who's out there to help them?
See, I would say that there's no parent that can't offer advice. I think all advice is helpful advice, even if it's from a non-education standpoint. Even as a parent, you can go, well, when I was in school, we weren't offered this, this, and this. So I think this, and this would be really helpful for you. Even saying in school, I wasn't pushed to do a language, but now you guys are, and that's really helpful in the world that we live in now. Having an additional language automatically gives you a step up when it comes to the career market. So I just think as an adult or as a parent, that none of your advice you shouldn't feel like you could offer to your child, because all advice is somewhat helpful, and all intervention is somewhat helpful. So even if it's you saying, I saw your maths work, maths isn't your forte, maybe I've seen your English work and that's slightly better, even that's just from that standpoint. I just think any advice that as a parent you can give is good advice.
Interesting, yeah. And I also feel that, thank you, Kalisha, I also feel that if you don't even know the answer, you could actually point them in different avenues. Exactly, because there are so much opportunity now. There's so, you go on the internet, you Google, there's so many areas that you could look at that in terms of opportunity to support that child. The organization like the 100, there's, you also have, Manhood Academy. There's so many different organizations that people could turn to. And as Kalisha said, which I feel is fantastic, that, as a parent, you would give any advice, because you're actually giving them a choice. So they actually see it, I never thought of it this way, So therefore, there is the opportunity to think of it that way. Yeah. Okay, thank you. The next question is, how commonplace is it for Black parents to dictate the children's chosen career? Right. Well, that ties in very much to what we've been looking at, isn't it? The commonplace in terms of, as parents, how much we are dictating our children's career choices. I was fortunate because my mother never dictated. She said she don't care what you do as long as you're happy. Doesn't matter. And I'm afraid I'm doing the same thing with my children. I don't care what you do as long as you're happy. If you decide you don't want to go to university, that's fine. It's your choice.
I'm a 90s baby, so I didn't have that free flow. You can do what you like. So it was more either you're studying, you're contributing, or you're not in my house. That was the standpoint when I was growing up. It wasn't so free flow. Oh, you don't need to go to uni. It's fine. You could be a YouTuber. We didn't have that luxury. So I think as far as Black parents, I think what they want is success, and they want to see success. And I think because they want to see success and building things that are not quite commonplace in the household is difficult, and you don't necessarily see instant gratification. You have that parent like, why are you on your computer all the time? Why are you doing this? And you'll have that frustration because you're getting your Black parents that maybe not even coming from the UK, that are coming from the Caribbean or Africa, that is like, hold on, that's not a job. Go and get a job that I can see a salary, see a pay slip, and that's your choice. Your choice is to go and get a job or go to university, and that's the struggle, because a lot of the jobs that young people are seeing now aren't necessarily jobs that you need to go to university for. And exactly. You are definitely on your device or on social media, so it looks like you're not working, but they're putting a lot of work behind the scenes, but your old school parents won't understand that. So there's a lot of dictate. No, go and do a STEM project, or go and do a social science, or go do something that I can see, that I can tell my social group that my son's a doctor, my son's a lawyer. They need to see the results, and it's really hard to say, yeah, my son or daughter is a social media influencer. What is that? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And Kanisha is right, because it comes down to.
Can I just pause a little to just introduce Nicole? Hi, Nicole. Welcome on the show.
Hi. Thank you so much. I apologize. I'm now finishing up my school here in the U.S. So I have one more student that needs to be picked up, but I have someone watching them. So it's a good evening to everyone.
Yeah, okay. We're looking at, can you see the question on your screen, Nicole?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
How commonplace is it for Black parents to dictate their child's chosen career choices? I don't know that it's limited to Black families, perhaps Black and brown, but I'll jump in a few.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in back in there. So for parents, Black parents, you said brown parents, colored parents, it's going to be social status. And again, I'm taking it back to the Caribbean because this is where I grew up. I spent many of my years there. And they want to say, okay, my child is this. You're right. My child is a doctor. My child is a lawyer. All right. And that gives them a feeling of great status and in the eyes of their peers and their friends, even for family members. When I was in high school, and yes, children don't know what they want to do at the age of 16 or 15. They don't. But I don't want to negate the parents' their role in helping with career choices should be completely, disregarded. Because for me, it worked out. It may not have, but it did. My parents, I didn't want to be a teacher ever because everyone in my family was a teacher. And I figured, you know what? This is not what I want to do. I just want to go the opposite way, right? From my grandmother, my grandfather, my sister, my mother, everybody was like, nope, it's not what I want. I wanted to do something completely different. And one day I was in high school, it's a sixth form, and my mother applied to the school board for me to be a teacher. So when she picked me up from school that day, she said, oh, I applied for this for you, have an interview. And I'm thinking, what? So in less than a month, I cried. I literally cried, okay, because I'm thinking, this is not, why is she making this decision for me? This is not what I want for myself, I did it because it was there. You're pretty much under the control of your parents at that time. You don't make those decisions on your own. So I said, okay, fine. I went to the interview. I got the job. And I've been a teacher since I was 17. So, I grew to love it. But now I've gotten to the age of way past 40. I still teach, but I'm also following other things that I want to do. So it's still in the realm of education, yes, but doing other things that I've found that I'm capable of doing. It took me that long, but I can't negate my mother seeing a future for me based on her ideas of this is, if you want to be a mother, this is the field of, work that you should be in. Right? It's best to be a teacher if you want to have a family later on in life. That's what she was seeing for me. That was her vision, So she thought if I had gone to any other career, I would not have been able to have a family unit of my own that was functional. Right? So I can't negate her aspirations or her chosen career for me at that point in my life. Now, jump a few years later into this lifetime that we have, is the society that we have, choosing the careers for our children is obviously not going to work because society has evolved, so much that we can't, it's impossible to do that now. There are too many career choices out there. They have the social media influence. You can see what else is out there, and make those choices. Parents still need to be a guide. I'd always say that we still need to be that guiding force, not necessarily making the choices for them, but guiding them in a way that they will eventually make the right choice for themselves. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Who wants to jump in?
Come on, I totally agree with the guys. For me, my parents never came in and said, do this, because from my school, from my family, I was the first to complete matric. I was the first, and even after completing matric, I didn't know what to do. So I had no idea until I got my matric certificate, and a teacher said to me, I think you should try teaching. There's still application open. That's when she took me. So nobody pushed everything to me. But actually, I agree with the guys that parents they want proper formal office jobs with certificates for their children. If you're saying I'm a content creator, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a Facebook marketing person, I'm a LinkedIn, hey, they're not going to understand you. Like, is that a job? Is that a real job that you can earn money? But just to think about it, as I'm listening to the guys talking, I think they're doing it out of good heart. To say, you know what, I don't want to have my child. Again, I would say it's good heart. It can be in two ways: good heart and boasting. Good heart. when they chilling with their friends at a club or mommy's night, whatever event that they go to, like my son is studying to be a lawyer. So, oh, that's amazing. But good heart. I mean, in terms of what, I don't want my child to as her name is not here, but the lady from Caribbean, Canada, she I think she put it beautifully to say, you know what, I don't want you to grow up and have nothing in front of you. I want you to have a house. I want you to have a family. I want you to continue with the legacy. So at least I'm going to push you to this corner so you can start. I think that's good heart. And again, it has its own.
Yeah, but won't you see that as, thank you, won't you see that as the parents trying to live their life through the children?
Definitely.
It is. Yes.
Exactly. Because I'm listening to that because I never wanted to become a teacher because, like, in my family, teachers, doctors, and lawyers and nurses, and I think, hell no. But being in this country, I always said to people that teaching chose me. Because if I was going to choose it, probably I would have been running the other direction. But it chose me, and I must say, I'm in it, and I'm fantastic at it, and I'm loving it. So, the fact that it chose me actually saw there's some possibility there. Because that was never my career choice.
My mom was very straightforward. At one point, I wanted to be a ballerina. She said, "No, darling, you don't have the thighs nor the hips for a ballerina. It can't be that." She was very, very, very clear with the path in which I could go down. So I think as far as teaching, my mom has been in education for about 25 years, probably longer than that. And I used to fall asleep in her staff meetings because it was back in the day when you could bring your children into school and no one batted an eyelash. And at 17, when I was removed from my college course, she said, "You're going to definitely join into an agency and be a TA because you're not sitting at home doing absolutely nothing." So that was her choice as well. And then when I went down my educational route, you're going to do something very, very clear. There's no performing arts, no nonsense like that. You just need to get something that you can put down on an application and someone's going to understand. So I think as teaching has gone, my little brother's 16 years younger than I am. So he gets the, oh yes, you can do what you like. You want to dance in the street, baby, go dance in the street. She gets the lovely, you can follow your dreams speech. I didn't get that. But as times has changed and as parents have become more knowledgeable about what's out there for your children, he now gets the, okay, so what do you want to do? He wants to be an architect. And I was like, an architect? I'm not going to be an architect. What was that fancy degree? No, it's something constructive. But it's definitely with the times, you get the, oh yes, you can do what you like. Debbie has known me since I was young, and even her style is, oh, you can do what you want now. But when we were young, it was not. You can do what you want. It was definitely go to university, get yourself an education. So her son is definitely benefiting from the times changing as well.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for that, Kanisha. Okay, Josephine and Nicole.
Yes. Josephine, did you want to go?
Yeah, sure.
I think okay.
Um, you know, I do think this day and age, you can't leave children to just do what they like, because I think it's always good. I think it's always good to streamline what it is that they could do. And I like the fact that I can't remember your name. You just finished speaking just now. I like the fact that your mum, you wanted to be a ballerina, but your mum said no, you're not going to be a ballerina. That's because your mum could probably see that it's not a way for you to move forward. You need parents like that to be able to tell you. I think this day and age sometimes we lack telling our children the truth. It's not about doing what you want. It's about doing what is right and would be good for you. I'm not all about I'm not all about getting a job. I'm all about either get a job or be in a business. I'm about both sides, and I'm also quite religious. The devil looks for like when your hands are idle, the devil will give you a job to do. You cannot be idle, because when you're idle, he will look for things for you to do, and most likely when the devil is involved, it will be negative. It will not be good for you. So I'm all about, you got to do something, and it's got to be worth it. You can't be wasting your time, because I wasted a lot of my time in my day, and I'm not going to have my child waste their time and just fritter away and do things that aren't worth it. I mean, if you tell me you're going to do something, if I see that what you're going to do, it's good and it's worth it, I'll be your Uber driver. That's the kind of mom that I am. I'll be your Uber, and I will take you around. But if it's not worth it, I will tell you, no, you're not doing it. Just like your mom told you, no, you're not doing it. Think about something else, and I will give you choices. I said to you earlier on, I'm kind of mom that I will give you choices. I would research with you. I will give you, oh, what about this, or what about that, and then we'll come up. We will come up with something together. I won't just pluck something out of the air to say, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. Because no one knows the future, and I certainly don't know the future. I certainly don't know what's right and what's wrong in that regards, because I don't know what the future holds. But we would research it, and we would try to get the best that we can together, because I think working together, letting you see what it is you want to do, letting you see how it plans out. I would even pay for residential in that area that you think of, to give you chances to look at that area. I'm that kind of mom. I would research with you, and then I would find out whether it's worth it or not. And if it's not worth it, I'm telling you, no, you're not doing it. Think of something else. So I'm that kind of mom.
Won't you see that as being dictatorship?
You can call it what you want. You can give it a name as you like. It's all about it's all about what's right for you, and you got to know your child as well.
Important.
Every child they're so different. You see, my eldest is so different to my youngest. My youngest, I probably can't get away with that with my youngest, but with my eldest, I probably could. My youngest will probably give me a run for, she'll probably give me a run for my money a little bit more, and we're probably gonna be fighting a lot more than we would do, with my eldest. So you need to know your child. You need to know what works for them. If my child is very good at dancing, and I know that, oh my goodness, she would be really, really good at this, and then she could take it to the top. Do you know what? I'm that kind of mom. I will support you to the latter. I would take you there. I'm that kind of mom. I will look for opportunities for you. But if I see that you want to dance and you don't even know how to shake, hips, no, you're not going there. If you're a dancer and you're so stiff and you don't know how to do boom, 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 no, you're not going to be a dancer. No.
Okay, thank you. Right, Nicole, you want to address that question too?
Sure, yeah. So just kind of reflecting on the conversation that's happening. I grew up in a household where I was able to gain exposure to different either museums or get an opportunity to go to different marches and just really be experienced, which helped me to determine what my interests are and where my passions lie. When I went to, I guess you would call it secondary, when I went to college, when I went to university, I had different interests, none of which was anything close to being an educator. I was called by God to be an educator. It's not my will at all. It is definitely His will. And I remember sharing that with my mother, and she had some concerns there. She was an educator. Her mother was an educator. We come from a very long line of educators, aunts, uncles, but not from the United States. And so just knowing the system being very different, knowing that the expectations are very different, there was some apprehension there. But again, I grew up in a household that stated that whatever it is that you want to do, you put your mind to, you would be able to accomplish it. However, it has to be tied to, something that's going to be a benefit to you. So I kind of live in the space of, yes, definitely have your passion. If you're serious and you're committed to your passion, and it is going to be beneficial to you and beneficial to others, yes. However, if you're telling me that it is your goal to do something that's going to be detrimental to you or to others, or that's not going to be profitable or as profitable as you think it would be, then there's space for us to talk and to have conversation. As it relates to my children going to college and university and all that, I've been preaching that in their heads from the beginning of time. We've gone on campuses. They know the university I went to, their father went to. They've been exposed to it. I do recall there was a conversation with one of my sons who said, well, what if I don't want to go to college? And I said, that's not something that I ever thought about or considered. However, what I will tell you is that in terms of my decision and choices, I'm willing to support you with your college and with your university experience. If you are choosing something different, which kind of goes back to the last person who just spoke, if you decide to choose something else, well, then you're also deciding a different type of support too. So yes, you can continue to live with me. However, you are going to have to pay the rent, right? Like if I am working, and I do consider, I know you're not getting a physical paycheck right now when you're going to school, but if you are choosing to not go to school, what you're not going to do is just sit on my house and you're not doing anything. Like that's not an option that you have. So it's either you're going to school or you're going to work. And so if you're going to work, then you are an able-bodied citizen and you could pay me rent. Now, I may give you some of the rent back. I don't know, depends on my mood that day, that time, whatever it comes. But that's up to you in terms of the choices and decisions you want to make. So that's my 2 cents. I don't think that in the question you asked, is it a dictatorship when you sit down and have conversation and make the decision with your child or do that research with them? I don't think it's a dictatorship because you're engaging them in the conversation. But you do have to make an informed decision as to what you're going to do and really weigh the pros and cons. That's just a part of life. So that's my 2 cents there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else had something to say? Okay. Oh, where's the other question? Oh, okay. How do you support your, okay, yes. How do you support our children to achieve their career aspiration? How would you support your child to achieve their career aspiration?
Hamilton, I think what we need to consider as parents. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I think what we need to not consider, be aware of as parents is this career choice thing or aspiration doesn't start when they get to secondary school. It starts quite when they're quite young, like at the bottom 5, 4. That's when it starts. And I think the best support that we can do or we can give our children is to expose them to a whole lot of things at a younger age as possible. Like just expose them, so they get to see almost that world, and then they will drift into the world that's fitting for them. I think that's the best way.
Okay. Thank you, Kalisha.
So this might be because I'm not a parent, and I've literally decided what I want to do with my life in the last 6 months. So, a bit of a different take on it. I don't think we can push our agendas on our children from young. I think exposure to everything is really important. My mum let me go to drama classes. I did dance. I did the Sea Cadets. I did everything. I said anything I said to my mum, Mum, I want to try this. She said, okay. And it's about exposing our young people to everything. I traveled from like 6 months old, so I saw the world. I don't think supporting them achieve their aspirations is about saying, oh, these are the career options you can possibly go down. No, it's about showing them this is the world. This is what you are in. And as far as what you want to do within this world, this is the broad spectrum of things that you can do. And when they take an interest in something, then you can say, okay, so you want to be, say, a content creator. Let's research what you need to do in order to achieve that goal. And I don't think we can support our children in doing what they need to do. One, if we haven't shown them the broad spectrum of things they can do. And 2, without saying, okay, it might not be something that I've thought of as your career path, but okay, what can we do to support that dream? What can we do to say, okay, you really want to do that? What can I do as a parent or as a person that affects these young people to say, okay, I want to achieve, because yes, not everyone can be the president of the United States or the prime minister, but one of us can. So if you put those motivations inside your child and say, this is what you need to do, this is the path of that particular career path, and I will help you, but you need to have it within yourself. I think first exposure. Just expose your children to everything. Expose your children to travel, even if it's just getting them out their own postcodes, because a lot of our kids only see their next door neighbours and their school. Getting them to see Scotland, that's just up the road, or Wales and in Ireland, getting them to see other people's points of views, other places, and a broad spectrum of different career paths. Because there's some things that are coming out now that I'm like, what? That's a career? It can make you how much? And it's not something that I was exposed to, and now I'm seeing it and I'm like, oh, I did the wrong thing. Education does not pay. But it's something I love. I just think, just expose your children to everything and latch on to what they feel passion for, because passion first is success. So being passionate about what you're doing, means that you're going to be successful in it. If you don't love what you're doing, it's very likely you're going to fail. And that's what we want for our children to do. We want them to be passionate about the careers they're going into. You don't want them to go into careers because it's good for them or it's stable and it'll get an income. Failure is your most important lesson. And if they have to fail 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, then so be it. But support them in their passions. So like I said, I decided what I want to do like 6 months ago, and I'm going on 30, so give them time.
Okay, thank you. There have been a number of questions in the chat. So let's see if we could put it on screen and probably answer some of those questions, because I've just been told a number of questions. So Mike, can you put the questions on, please? What if your child's vision is greater than yours? Anybody answer that?
Your child's vision will always be greater than yours.
Always be there.
Always for more. Always be greater than yours.
That's
You just
true.
have to accept it
It's very true.
and nurture it.
Yeah.
I think with that question, sorry, Debbie, because we, as a parent, our vision is kind of limited for our children, again, because we want to see them go a specific way. But because they're exposed to what's out there more than probably we are, especially the older parents, all right? Not the millennial ones, ones above that, whatever we are. They're exposed to the social media, you're right. So they're seeing things like the social content, the content creators, and as you mentioned earlier, the different things that are out there for them to do that we never would have experienced for ourselves or even thought of, right? So yes, it's going to be bigger, and we have to acknowledge that and support them in any way that we can because that's going to be their personal success. If they can achieve their greater vision, that's going to be their personal success. And we have to be there as parents or even educators to help them get to that point. So in any way that we can.
Thank you. I do feel that our children and our student vision must be greater than ours. Because I've always said to my student, they need to be better than I am. So that's what we need to get them to aspire to. And it's important, and we support them on that journey. Yeah.
I think we answered the question.
Okay, what will occur if you are not able to offer advice or intervention? Okay, anybody want to answer that?
Could you say it again?
Right. What will occur if you are not able to offer advice or intervention to your children? What will occur if you are not able to offer advice or intervention to your children?
Well, I mean, I think it depends. My question to that is, why wouldn't you be able to offer? So I think the advice is starting with a conversation and starting to unpack the why, right? So for every decision that my children, I want to be this. So one of my sons says he wants to be an architect. I just asked the question, tell me more about why. Now, I don't know how to be an architect, but I can engage you. I can put your thoughts. I can ask you, well, what are you reading? What are you looking at? What videos? What's inspiring? What are your thoughts about being an architect? What do you think it means to be an architect? I think starting there and then going back to the willingness to do that legwork, I think that's another key piece also, right? Are you willing to do the research? Are you willing to, if I go and I get a book from the library and I give it to you and you don't bother to crack the book open, well then how motivated are you to do this work? Do you understand the schooling that's attached to it? So I think those questions, although I may not be able to give you information as it relates to becoming an architect, I could definitely engage you in the thinking process, and you use that process for any decision that you make. So I would encourage you.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you. Mike, is there any other question? Okay, here's another one. For secondary school child
Homeschooled, yeah.
being homeschooled, who is resuming school year 10 in September. What can I ask the schools on how they can help my son integrate back into school? Okay, so a child who have been homeschooled, how can you ask the school to support the child in integrating back into the school? I think that's the question. Yeah.
I think most importantly, making sure they get all the content that they may have missed and their time away from school. I think making sure that they haven't fallen behind or they're not even too far forward, because that can also be a hindrance on whether they can reintegrate. I think as we've gotten to Zoom and Google Classrooms and all of that, I think it would be helpful if they could say, okay, maybe let's do a Google Meet with your class so you can meet some familiar faces, because we've got that technology now. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say, okay, we're going to do a Google Meet so they can meet some of their peers, so they have a familiar face when they go back to school. And also just having a conversation with their head of year, because the head of year will be the most current in knowing what's going on within the year group. They'll know what your child needs in terms of going back in September, and they'll also be able to collect all this information for you, rather than you go into each individual teacher. Just go to the head of year and say, okay, my child's come back in September. Could you please get me exactly what I need on what he needs to be up to date with for when he comes back?
Right, thank you. What I would suggest is phase return in terms of the fact that the child have been homeschooled for a while. I do feel that the child need to be phase returned so that it is not too much of a shock to that child, because the child was educated by themselves all this time. So therefore, a phase return, I think, would be a good idea. Also, in terms of, I also feel that it should not only be education, we should also look at the mental health of the child going back into the system, because that is paramount, other than just academic, because those are things that we are not, as educators, taking enough interest in, because the mental health is a real big issue. And that's something I feel that need to be addressed in terms of finding out where the child is, finding out, what the issues are in terms of, the mental health of the child, what the child was affecting the child, and go from there. Anything else? Anybody else want to add? Okay.
Well, I was going to just support that idea as well. In addition to, yes, knowing academically where the child is, that social, emotional, that mental health is something that's showing up in ways that we couldn't fathom. You have children that's responsible for, again, I have older students in my building, so they're responsible for their younger siblings, but they have their own instruction to follow with. So overnight, you became some sort of a quasi-parent, right? The parents are off working, and so now you have to be responsible in a completely different way that may not be natural for a teenager. And so I think that unpacking that also for teenage children, we know that in terms of their growth and development, that they need and they crave the interaction of their peers, and they haven't been getting that either. So I'm curious to see how we are as a society, but whether you're in the UK or United States or Caribbean or wherever it is that you are, I'm curious to see with this generation and the generation to follow what the impact of COVID-19 and the remote learning will be. But we should definitely have a plan in place for supporting the social health of our children as they transition back.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank everybody for taking the opportunity and accepting the offer to come onto the platform. From all of you, can I have one point which you are going to, which you would actually give parents in terms of either supporting the children or encouraging the children in terms of their education and the way forward? Just 1 point from everybody. Everybody.
I think reminding parents that your children are empty vessels that you need to fill with worthwhile and meaningful things. So your child is an empty vessel, fill it with as much as you can, but make it worthwhile and meaningful.
Okay, thank you. Who else? Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to say that.
Hamilton,
You want to go ahead first?
you go ahead.
Okay.
You go ahead and I'll wait.
Just to empower your children to have a voice and to express themselves for their real potential, to understand what their potential is, guide them when you can, give them the opportunities that you can, to expose them to developing their own their potential, right, towards their personal success in life.
Thank you. Okay, who else want to come? Josephine? Okay, come on.
I would say as a primary school teacher, I would say to parents, it's not always about academics, get A's. Please, parents, consider play. Children need to play. And from play, they learn quite a lot. They learn almost entirely everything, be it language, math, computers. They learn from play. So just allow them to play.
Thank you. Nicole and Josephine?
Do you want me to go, Nicole? Do you want to go, Nicole?
I'll go. Thank you, Josephine. So I would say to expose and engage, right? Expose in terms of allowing them and providing them with an opportunity to hear and see and experience different walks of life so that they can make an informed decision and get to explore themselves, to realize what works for them, what they're gravitating towards, what they may just naturally not be as excited about, because you want them to be healthy adults and to be comfortable in their skin. And I would say engage them in the conversation. So not talking at, but talking with, and within reason, right? So not to be used to an extreme, but having a conversation with them, getting them to share their points, their thoughts, their views. And those thoughts and views are going to develop over time and it's going to change, and that's okay. But making sure that you're fostering who they are, because they have a very unique project and assignment and purpose and will attached to their lives. So I believe that our job is to help them get the tools so that they can explore their will and fulfill it while they're here on earth.
Thank you. Okay, Josephine?
Yeah, I think all pretty much said, things that have been in my mind, but just to echo as well, just being an inspiration and just, allowing them to be who they are and being a guide. And even if you don't know what it is that, they want to do, just being able to research it with them and just, listening to what it is that they want to do and just being there in supporting them in whatever they've chosen to do. So just being present.
Okay, thank you very much. In the next 2 weeks, we have our other education talk on the 30th of April. Tomorrow, we also have the president's inauguration tomorrow at 7 p.m., the round table. So those are some of the things we are doing at the 100. It's left for me to thank you guys very much. It was a fantastic session, inspirational, education, etc. Thank you guys very, very much. And have a fantastic evening. Take care. See you guys soon.